Today I want to introduce you to Miss Krystal Brown. She is the founder of Next Stage Customs, but that's just one of the things she does. And I wanted to dive a bit into her backstory because she's got a powerful testimony and just kind of explain where she's at and where she's trying to go. So, Krystal, tell people about yourself.
As Hunter said, I am Krystal Brown. I founded Next Stage Customs about 2021. The reason I founded it is because of my own personal story, and that is that when I was 17 years old, I was a high school senior, and I made a choice to get pregnant. My uncle told me that I was going to be a statistic, so I decided to prove him right, just in a different way. So I sat out of school for one semester. I went the first semester and I had my daughter right the day after my last finals exam. So my last finals was on Friday. I was looking for books to sell back on Saturday morning, and I went into labor. So I sat out the spring semester, and then I went back to school that summer. And I was determined to prove everybody wrong, that I wasn't going to be a statistic, at least not in that way. I made sure that I went back. I took more than the recommended number of classes. I took 19 hours per semester, and I graduated on time. Now, I don't recommend that for everybody because it was a lot. It was a lot. And I enjoyed myself, and I enjoyed my school time because my parents were gracious enough to say, hey, we'll keep your daughter. You go off and go to school. I was like, really? Okay. And so I did. And I went to Jackson State University, and they kept my daughter during the week. I went home on the weekends, at least for the first couple years. And then they started letting me kind of, have an outside life a bit more at college. But the fact of the matter is it was great because I had something to prove, right? So I wanted to make sure that I showed my uncle and everybody that said that she was going to derail my life that she did not. But at the same time, I do now, hindsight being 2020, look back and wish that I would have taken my time and matriculated through and not rushed, because my parents were not rushing me. My parents weren't saying, hurry up and finish so you can get back here and get her. I wish I would have taken my time, done an internship, and really kind of done those normal 15 hours and, maybe worked a little bit more and really explored what I wanted to do. But again, it ended up being a beautiful thing. I graduated on time, so that made me proud. And then after I graduated, I moved around a little bit, figured out, where I wanted to be, where I wanted to work. And then I landed here in Atlanta in 2004. My parents didn't want me to take my daughter until I was established. And so once I established myself for a year here, I brought her here to live with me, and I raised her here. And I went back and finished my master's degree in 2016. And the reason I did that was I actually started before I moved here, and then I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't need to do it. But then as I watched her, kind of as she was matriculating through high school, she wasn't taking it seriously, and it was kind of like, I'll do it if I want to do it, but not really. So I wanted to give her a goal. I wanted to show her. Because when I graduated college, she was only like 4. So she doesn't really remember that. So I wanted to show her what she could do. And I wanted to show her, look at what mommy's doing, so that maybe she would follow in my footsteps. Yeah. So I finished the master's in 2016. She went to my graduation with me. She saw that, and that's what I wanted for her. So back to that's the reason that I founded Next Stage, is because I wanted to be able to give that motivation to someone else, or either support them because they already have that motivation. They've already found it within themselves to be able to go and not give up just because they took a wrong path. I don't want to say wrong, right? Just because they didn't take the traditional path, just because, they had a child, or just because they went to prison, or just because they dropped out, or, anything. I mean, anything that's not the standard cookie cutter traditional path, it doesn't mean that you can't still go and get this degree if it's going to help you in your life. A degree is not for everyone, and I completely understand that, but it was for me. And that's what helped me, and that's what put me in the position that I'm in now to be able to help others.
Wow. So you have this testimony, you have these things that you went through in your life, but when did you know that you ultimately wanted to go back and help others in that position?
That was later. I want to say that was probably around 2016 when I finished that master's degree, because before then, I volunteered, but for different things like Habitat for Humanity and things like that. I did that, but volunteerism and service wasn't primary in my life. I was very much, let me take care of my daughter and me, But something happened in 2016, and I guess, I don't know, maybe it was the master's degree, maybe it was watching her in school and interacting with some of her classmates, because I also caught myself kind of in this repetitive situation with her friends. She would become friends with people, and then their moms would be working all the time, and their moms were single moms too. So then the kids would end up at my house, and I end up feeding them. I end up taking them on vacation with us. I end up, just trying to be the blessing to them that I would want somebody to be to my child.
That's
And I
good.
think that, kind of doing that over the years, and then ultimately being put in the position financially to where I was able to do things like that. And I know that that wasn't because of all the right decisions that I made in my life. I know that it was because of God and because of all the fortuitous, blessings that He bestowed upon me. And so in 2016, it was just like, I want to give back. And I started, kind of looking at the nonprofit, but everybody told me how difficult it was to start a nonprofit, and you need attorneys and you need this and you need. So then I was like, oh, never mind. And so I just, would volunteer for things, North Fulton Community Charities, and different other nonprofits around here. And then 2021 came, and we were in COVID. We couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything. And I was bored at home, and I said, well, let me figure out how to start a nonprofit. I'm a pretty intelligent person. And so I did my research, and I did it all by myself, and I figured out how not to hire an attorney and how to do it myself and, get it off the ground and get the 501c3 status. And so that's what I did with my COVID time.
Wow. So you have the idea and the concept, and you obviously have that initial period of disruption where they're like, oh, it's hard to start a nonprofit. But you said you had that time in COVID, but what ultimately it's inspired you to say, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure it out.
When I was sitting there during COVID, it was me and TV a lot, because my significant other was away for 3.5 months. So he was not there. My child, she had been off away at school, so school was closer to my mom's house, so that's where she landed for school, for COVID. And I just wanted to do what I had always wanted to do. So it was a dream and it was a thought. And another thing happened in 2016. I forgot. I didn't forget, but my grandmother passed away. And so my grandmother, she was also a primary catalyst for this as well, because her parents couldn't afford for her to go to school. And so she, or her siblings, there were 13 of them, and they worked the fields and, did things like that. And so then she got married and she had 7 children. So although she couldn't afford to go to school, she wanted to make sure that each one of her children had the opportunity to go to school. And so she and my grandfather made sure that they gave them the opportunity. And that was something that was very, very important to her. And so that was kind of the catalyst for the scholarship as well, was because knowing just what it meant to her. And she passed away in 2016.
Wow.
And so I wanted to do that kind of as a way to honor her and
Very
the
cool.
importance of education, and what that meant to her. But yeah, ultimately in 2021, it was, what else are you doing with your time? I was just sitting there binge watching television, and, I was exercising outside because you couldn't go to the gym. And then that got redundant and boring. And then I started going through I keep a goals list. I keep a list of goals from year to year. And I started going through that list and saying, okay, what have I not done? And I went back to 2016 and saw that one. And that was kind of what was like, let me see about this. And it really just started as, let me do some research about this to see what it takes. But then as I kept diving deeper and deeper, I realized that it's not that difficult.
Yeah.
It requires effort and time and a little bit of money, not even a lot, but a little bit, right? And I just kept fumbling into it, because as I kept digging deeper and deeper, it just was like, oh, I can do this. So I just kept going.
Layer by layer.
Layer by layer.
Man, but the Lord has a way of just making things happen. And whether it's things coming together, bringing the right people, or it's just getting you to a place where you can't do anything but think about that.
Yeah.
Which there was a lot of bad that came out of COVID, but there was a lot of good that also came out of COVID. So
Definitely.
It depends on your perspective and obviously, individual cases. But
Right.
But still, a lot of good has come out of it. And now to see the fruit of what work you put in is pretty cool, I imagine.
Yeah.
So now, you've given out a scholarship now. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Our first scholarship recipient was last year in 2023. Her name is Faith Cadona. Faith is a human trafficking survivor, and she is doing great work with a nonprofit called Street Grace. She's actually finishing up her education in marriage and family counseling. So Faith was our first, and she will always be near and dear to my heart. And I'm so happy that I could be a part of her journey. Meeting her, I actually met her in January of last year because my nonprofit actually led me to become a Rotarian. And so as joining the Rotary Club of Alpharetta has been a true blessing in my life. It really, really has, because it continues to allow me to do even more service and touch an even larger part of the community. And so we had a human trafficking summit in January, and that's where I met Faith. I was volunteering, met Faith, talked to Faith, met a couple other people. They applied for scholarship, but Faith's video was amazing. Her heart, her passion, her determination. I mean, because she's one that, she tells her own story all the time, but, in her story, she talks about how she repeatedly got out, got back in, got out, got back in. And sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes it takes you to keep falling, but you have to keep getting up. That's the only thing. It's just get back up. And it's a song that Donnie McClurkin says, that it's just, you just get back up again. And she did that.
That's good.
And this time it stuck. So I was so happy to, be a part of her journey and just, have a lasting impact on her life. And this year, we've got our second scholarship recipient, but this is a secret because she doesn't know yet.
Okay.
So
you've already chosen.
Yes, we chose her, and she will be announcing it to her next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does that look like exactly? I know you have a gala event, but how does it work for you choosing the scholarship recipient and then actually giving it to them and then honoring them? How does that work?
So they submit an application, and then they submit a 2-minute video.
Okay.
The 2-minute video is a series of questions, and it's really simple in the fact that it's just asking about them. Why do they deserve a second chance? What will they do with this second chance? How are they serving the community? Just basically what they want to do. Because we want to know that the person that we're giving this money to, that they're striving to be like we are. And that's to be a part of the community and to give back and to be a source of light in other people's darkness, And so her video was very compelling. She's a single mother, and she went back to school, and she's in healthcare industry. So she's just, she's amazing. Her story is amazing. And we are so excited about her, and we hope that she will accept our invitation to come to the gala in August to receive the scholarship in person. So after we vote, after the applications, watch the videos, we vote. She won, and so we'll call her next week, let her know that she has been the selected winner. And then what happens is we'll also invite her to the gala, which is August 10th. Hopefully she'll be able to come, and it will be 2 tickets for her and a guest. And then we'll present her with the big check at the gala. And our scholarship sponsor, which there's still room for scholarship sponsors, so please check the website. And we will then work with her, get her information regarding her school, as well as her student ID number, and I'll call and make the payment to the school directly on her account.
Okay, wow. And now it kind of leads me into the next thing. So how can other people get involved in supporting this and helping you fund this scholarship and future scholarships? How can they get involved with that?
Yeah. So last year the scholarship was $1,500. This year's $2,500.
Okay.
So thank you to everyone that was a part of this journey and donating, because that is the goal, is to continue growing the scholarship larger and larger every year. My ultimate goal is to be able to pay for somebody's entire 4-year program or 2-year program, whichever one they're doing. Short term, I'll settle for being able to pay for the entire semester.
Gotcha.
So step by step, right?
For sure.
And all the donations are tax deductible. So you can go to nextstagecustoms.org. You can make a donation, or better yet, you can sponsor the gala. You can also make a donation to the gala directly. That's the same website, www.nextstagecustoms.org. And just supporting us in that way and spreading the word, really going on to Facebook and Instagram and liking our posts and sharing our posts and, kind of getting the word out. Because that's been, I think, one of the most difficult things is trying to get the word out, spread the message that we exist and that we're here so that people know. Because we still have a relatively low number of scholarship applicants. I think this year we had 5, and I'd love for it to get, to 10, 20, even 30. I'd love for there to be several applicants. But again, it's trying to get that word out and really spread the word. And of course, continuing to get donations so that we can continue to fund it so that it grows larger and larger.
So that's how. Now, why should they support? Now, obviously, it's a scholarship to give second chances, but I want to go a little bit deeper and talk about the impact that it actually has.
Yeah. The impact it has is just being a part of someone's journey. I think In this world, we tend to be very siloed in our own situations and our own world and all the stuff that we have going on and what's going to be beneficial to us and for us. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I was guilty of it, especially before I started down this path of service 3 years ago or 4 years ago. But I realize now I feel so much more rewarded. So it's still kind of a selfish thing because I feel rewarded, but I feel rewarded by giving to others and helping somebody else reach their goals, because I am truly blessed and thankful that God has put certain people in my life and he continues to just open doors for me because I'm not doing it myself. It is truly him that is, leading me. He's guiding me. He's leading me. He's putting these people in my path like you, Hunter. And I mean, being a part of somebody else's journey so that you can do that, it's pay it forward. It's pay it forward. Because again, you always receive, so you never have to worry about being left out, because what God has for you, he has for you. And if you give something to somebody else, it's going to come back. It all comes back. And it just makes me a stronger person to be able to help somebody else. And it will do the same for each individual out there too. And regardless if that's money or time or information, it doesn't matter. The more you give to others, the better this world can become. Because I think that's a responsibility for all of us, right? This world can be a very nasty place. It can be very backbiting. It can be very political. It can be very just, if you watch the news every day, it can be a very dark place. But if you choose to go out there and do great things, and even the smallest amount of things, telling somebody, have a great day, or even holding the door open for somebody, or helping an elderly person take their grocery, any little thing, those little things add up, and it helps brighten somebody else's day, which then hopefully they'll turn around and do it for somebody else. And then we can make this world a little bit brighter. So that's why you get involved. That's why, even if it's not my charity, get involved in a charity. Of course, I hope it's my charity, but, I sit on the board of another charity called the Drake House. They provide residential housing for single custodial mothers who are homeless or about to become homeless. So it's not only my charity that I'm concerned with. I mean, I'm concerned with the Drake House. I'm concerned with North Fulton Community Charities. It's so many of them, because ultimately it's all about helping our community be greater and better. And a lot of people don't have the support. Like I told you in my story, I had my mother and my father who said, hey, why don't you go to college? We'll keep your daughter. Really? Everybody doesn't have that. And I realized how blessed that I was to have that, because that's not something that everybody has. And so again, even if you're not offering this individual to keep their child, because that's a big ask, right? But if you can help them in a little way by giving some money to a scholarship that they receive, or if you can help them in a little way by giving some money to the Drake House so that they have a home when they're homeless, or North Fulton Community Charities when they're at risk for homelessness and they can get food and they can get support, all of that helps. And then maybe now that person raises 2 or 3 or however many kids they have to be stellar individuals in the community, and then they grow up to be the next president or whatever. It's all paying it forward so that we can all make this world a better place, because I do believe that that's everyone's responsibility.
Wow. Well, I don't have anything to add at that point. I think you just pretty much encaptured everything that I wanted to get. But man, you can feel her passion and enthusiasm for this, because she's experienced it firsthand, and now she wants to help other people experience it and experience the goodness of God, because that's really what it is. Because God's working through us to get to other people. And so I'm just grateful to be a part of this journey, and that God brought us together for something bigger than we even know, right?
Absolutely.
But he's doing the work, and we're showing up, and he's going to continue to show up through us. So
that's right.
That's all we can ask for. But please, please, please support Next Stage Customs. Like she said, nextstagecustoms.org. You can donate whatever Lord puts on your heart or you feel like doing. But
no amount is too small, even $1. No amount is too small.
But that's Krystal Brown.
Thank you, Hunter.
No, we do fist bumps.
We do fist bumps.
We do fist bumps.